Are we live? Maybe we are live now. I am such an amateur at this. Ladies and gents, I think we might be live. Let me know if not. I'm having real difficulty with the lighting. Let me just put myself on mute. There we go. Hello, Phil. I sure miss WHL, but the new stadium of Tottenham, White Hart Lane, new stadium is absolutely amazing, but I like the old stadiums here. And around the grounds is in the house. Yes, mate. I hope we're well. Bit of a disaster start. I've decided to live stream off my camera, my DJI Osmo Pocket that I've started to use when we do the vlogs. So me trying to be a smart ass here in my bobble hat, I thought, nah, let's just up the standard a little bit and not use the webcam. Let's use the camera. But I've got notes, guys. Today we're going to be talking about some of the best and some of the worst Premier League stadiums. Now, before we begin, I just want to make sure that the audio's okay. The visual isn't quite as good. I've got kind of makeshift lights on the go. Didn't quite take into account that with all these shirts, all this decor that I've started to put in this little man cave, I've like blocked all the light out, so it's really dark. So that's something I will have to improve in future. Christ, the comment section is busy. I just want to say as well, guys, before we start, I really appreciate all your support. It's been amazing. I'm just doing this for a bit of fun. I'm having a laugh, and the fact that people like the videos is amazing. Unfortunately, though, my eyesight is awful, so I'm going to be looking at the screen next year a few times. I do apologise for that. But I've got a plan of attack. This isn't just going to be a free-for-all. Basically, we've got 2 more Premier League stadiums to visit, guys, and I'm sure you'll be glad to hear that we've booked a visit to each of those stadiums. Of course, we've got Brighton's Amex, which we have the pleasure of visiting, not this weekend, next weekend. Again, thanks to you lot for giving me the heads up that Brighton have got some more stadium tours on offer, and we're going to be joined by an actual Brighton fan, which is going to be awesome because I go on about it all the time on the channel. My very first time watching Brighton was in my hometown of Hereford in 1997. I'd have been like 8 years old, and I saw Hereford United draw 1-1 with Brighton. Hereford United needed a win. Whoever basically got the result they needed would survive, stay up in the Football League, and obviously Hereford United got relegated and just went into liquidation in 2014, but had a steady decline off the back of that. So Brighton is... it kind of haunts me a little bit. I love the modern Brighton, but there's such a massive contrast to what they were back in 1997. Anyway, I'm going to try not to get too nostalgic and ramble too much. Before we get into some of the content, let's check out who's in the comments below. A lot of you are. So who have we got then? Stacey Campbell, hello. We hate Big Bev. I recognise that name. Good evening, mate. I'm not going to read all your names out because my eyesight is bloody awful. Is that a Devonshire accent? No, people get a little bit confused about my accent. It's a bit of a mix between Herefordshire and Gloucestershire, as I've just rambled on. I was born in Hereford, grew up in a tiny little town called Ledbury, like 25 minutes outside of Hereford. And I now live in Cheltenham in Gloucestershire, and I have done for the last 11 years. So Gloucestershire, it's like 45 minutes north of Bristol. Unfortunately, is the reason why I bloody sound like this, unfortunately. So it's not a Devonshire accent, but it's not too far off. Tom Brown, all right, Roy, come to the Vale soon, mate. Yeah, you've not had the best of seasons, but I'm always up for checking out the home of Robbie Williams. That would be decent. Hello, mate, JB Lyon. I swear I've just spoke to you on Instagram, haven't I? Should watch Sunderland. Yeah, I would love to watch Sunderland, actually. Speaking of Around the Grounds in the comments, check out Around the Grounds if you like content. Well, he does all content around the ground. He's a Wednesday fan, but he specifically has done kind of more matchday vlogs on some of the teams that don't always get the spotlight shed on them. And the reason I'm mentioning him is because he went to Sunderland, watched Sunderland versus Newcastle, and ever since then I've been meaning to get to Sunderland. There's going to be a lot of rambling today, guys. I've not got the beauty of actually editing up what I'm saying, which might be a recipe for disaster. Let's work through your comments. Slowly, but we're going to try and stick to the plan a little bit as well. I'll dip in and out. If you would just like to let me know as well which of the stadium tours you've enjoyed the most, or which ground you've enjoyed the most, which ones were shocking and you thought, Christ, that's nowhere near as good as what I thought, because I've got my own opinions on here. So we're going to focus on some of the best stadiums, not just in general, best tours, most surprising, like ones that shocked us, ones that we thought wouldn't be that good, but ended up being better than they've been. As I look to my notes right here, as we focus on some of the good facilities. Now, the obvious one, let's get the obvious out of the way. Spurs are going to kind of top the list for most of the good facilities and so on. So let's quickly bypass Spurs. But if we talk about clubs, we're going to try and talk about clubs or the stadiums relative to where they are in the league, the size of the club, etc. So like when I say, for example, some of the most disappointing grounds I've visited would be like, I'm going to put United to one side. Obviously, I've been there loads, but Chelsea and Newcastle, both great stadiums, Stamford Bridge and St James's Park. So I don't mean to knock them, but what I'm trying to say is two massive clubs that I thought would have more of a breathtaking wow kind of factor when entering the stadium. So I was a little bit let down in that respect, but I did very much enjoy the tours, and I've got my list here. Loads of positives of those grounds. So let's just quickly check back in with the comments. Just checked out part 2 of the United tour. See, that part 2 did give me a bit of grief. Apologies for doing so much United content lately, guys. This is not a Man United fan channel, and I know there's a lot of people that absolutely despise Man United, especially fans who aren't from bloody Manchester and sound like this. American Gooner here. I love the stadium tours. I've only been able to go to the Emirates once, but that's my idea of a pilgrimage type of vacation, visiting all the Premier. I think I've read that right. It's incredible that so many Americans kind of follow the Premier League. It just shows that obviously soccer is growing overseas in America. And it always, if you listen to like Ben Foster's Fozcast, the podcast, he spoke once about the fact that he went over there to like the Premier League Expo, you know, like they do a lot of like exhibitions in America and stuff. And the fact that he was meeting American fans of like Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, those sort of teams. It's crazy as to the reasons why, you know, everyone picks the obvious ones like United, Chelsea, Arsenal, City and so on. But it is really weird when you see Americans maybe not supporting Bournemouth. That's a little bit more understandable in recent times. All right, Milkman Rye, yeah, nice week off the milk round this week, so it's all good. I have actually got, guys, whilst we're yapping, I've got a Coke over here, but I have got, where is it? Oh, I've got a pint in my Man United pint glass of wine because I don't know where all my lager's gone. My lager has gone. Sound like a right alcoholic. Speaking of which, we did some hospitality at Burnley recently, and they were a little concerned as to but the fact that I finished the video in my car and I didn't drive straight home. Of course I didn't. So go steady with your drink driving, Rye. I don't cross the line. There's nothing you should be. Yeah, let's just move on, guys. Right, what else have we got in this comment section? Go Leicester, King Power Stadium. So yeah, I've been very much looking forward to checking out the home of Leicester. Obviously Leicester they've kind of gone back to winning ways now. I had a slight bumpy ride over the last couple of weeks. The reason I'm not done a stadium tour quite yet, two reasons really. They only do them on weekends and I try and keep the missus sweet. And when I go out on the weekend, it's normally to a game. But also, they're going to be a Premier League club, aren't they, next season? So whichever three teams get relegated in the summer, we need to get, as soon as they're promoted. Did I say relegated? Promoted. They're not going to get relegated. They're going to get bloody promoted. We're going to check out the ground when they get promoted. I've had too many of those bloody wines already, haven't I, guys? Right. Should do a tour of Sunderland. Yes. So as I said, we're going to be doing Brighton. But we're also, weirdly, going to be checking out Kenilworth Road because I was really struggling to get... They're not doing tours at the moment. I was struggling to get match tickets to watch Luton or even in the away end. But if you go on Luton's website, there's going to be a women's... It's not the Women's FA Cup final, is it? It's like the Women's FA Cup trophy vase, I think it is, between... I don't even know who's playing, but basically there's a Women's Cup final going to be held at Kenilworth Road. Not next weekend when we go to Brighton, the weekend after. So that's a perfect opportunity to get inside the ground. I don't know if I can get over the famous oak, the famous away end. It looks over the gardens, but we are going to be at Kenilworth Road. And also we're going to be back at Forest. We were supposed to go to Forest versus Liverpool this past weekend. Going back to trying to keep the missus sweet. Because of the Burnley hospitality, I ended up giving up my ticket for Forest versus Liverpool. But we are going to be at Nottingham Forest versus Fulham. I need to get my specs on because my eyesight is bloody awful. But thanks for commenting, guys. We need more DHgate videos. See, there's a few reasons why I'm not done DHgate videos lately, guys. Because I get bombarded on Instagram with people asking me is this shirt all right? Is this seller all right? I try and be helpful, but there's only so many DHgate questions I can answer in a day. It's crazy. So I don't know. I might do more DHgate videos, but they just come with baggage. And there's always that moral dilemma when you're buying fake football shirts. I know the kind of track record of manufacturers, Nike, Adidas and so on, hasn't been the best over the years. But the fakes, you know that there's some like 5-year-old Chinese kid making your shirt. So, you know, morally a bit iffy. Let's get back on to best and worst stadiums, guys, because that is the theme of this video. I've got here, what grounds were charming? What did I find charming on the hunt for the perfect Premier League ground? Some of the most charming grounds would be Fulham's Craven Cottage. I'd be lying if I wasn't to put Craven Cottage in my top 3. I found it to be absolutely beautiful. Again, this is subjective. A lot of people don't like Craven Cottage, but I think it's got the perfect balance between traditional and old. Remember, though, that pavilion area, that kind of cottage, isn't the original cottage that was there on the land prior to Fulham moving there. But the new Riverside stand that they're building, again, with that view out onto the Thames. All right, the Thames is probably one of the dirtiest waters you could get in, but it's a lovely setting. You've got the grass, the park next to it. I just think it's a lovely area. Maybe not the most traditional of footballing areas. Very posh, very expensive. But I did love my tour visit to Craven Cottage. The tour was good as well. I always love Villa as well. We always speak about Archibald Leach, the famous Scottish architect. He designed so many of aspects of so many of these British football grounds. Unfortunately, the Trinity Road stand went, but the Holt End is basically the same. Really old school, beautiful and nice. And that's what I like on Rise Football Paradise. We've got around the grounds. Please smash that like button, everyone. He's trained well, right? You know, everyone, again, once you finish this live stream, head over to Around the Ground. He's had a couple of weeks off, but he's going to be at Wednesday versus Leeds on Friday. I think you said they're playing, aren't they, mate? Cracking vlogs, and it's always nice to support fellow YouTubers. He gave me a bit of a pep talk before coming on and said, Roy, just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Ladies and gents, right, so what we got here, Tom Mills went to watch Cheltenham Town last night. Big mistake. Tom, I haven't even seen the Cheltenham score. How did they get on? I had the Ipswich game on, Ipswich versus Bristol City at Portman Road. I had it on in the background whilst editing up that Man United video. What a crazy ass bloody game that was. I must say as well, we're on the topic of Premier League stadiums and we will stick to it, but I have a soft spot for the Championship. I really do enjoy the Championship. I think the Premier League is getting a little bit predictable now. We've got the top 3 pulling away a little bit, which is obviously not nice to see as a United fan. The bottom 3, though, unless Forest get deducted points, I think we are going to have the newly promoted teams getting relegated again. Right then. So I've seen your plans for my... Have you seen right, somebody's mentioning Oxford's new stadium. I did hear about this. They're currently playing at the Kassam, aren't they? I've always found it weird. Oxford's ground don't you have like blue seats or something at the Kassam? I remember the colour scheme being off, and but no, I've not seen the plans for the new ground. Andrew Bick, let's give a shout out to Andrew. Andrew, I got your email, but I can't use my phone at the moment. You wanted to know plans on Old Trafford, I believe. What's my favourite tease of a corner, Andrew? Right, so you know I love a corner of a football stadium. Now, there's been some teases on Rise Football Paradise. Stoke was good. Stokes is a bit of a Marmite ground, really, because it's very modern. It's kind of amongst a retail park and stuff. But they had a really good tease. I did like the Britannia. I don't know what it's bloody called now. Bet365, isn't it? Keep smashing the vlogs, mate. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, really appreciate that, guys. I am just going to take a moment to read your comments, though, because my eyesight is awful. Phil, what's your top 4 stadiums? So let's stick to Premier League, right? I'm going to say so far, obviously Spurs are on a level of their own. You can't put a group of your favourite Premier League stadiums in without having Spurs. Without having the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, can you really? It's got to be the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Fulham's, Villa's, and what should we go for? So, in terms of, I've put here, my most surprising was Anfield. I, for some reason, thought that I'd passed Anfield so many times. I've been to Liverpool quite a few times over the years, never actually done a tour. But almost begrudgingly, I found that the Anfield tour was really good. And I know that they've just completed the renovation to the Anfield Road stand end. The tour was amazing, but internally, Anfield's obviously a ground full of history, an old ground. In a similar way, I thought it'd be like Old Trafford, basically, but internally, it looked brand new. It looked really modern. So, as much as United fans want to hate on Liverpool, you've got to give credit where credit's due, and Anfield was really impressive. Goodison was kind of charming because of the history. Obviously, Everton were the first, or Goodison was the first of so many things like corner flags and so on. But I think Everton really do need that new stadium, if I'm being honest. Being honest, we love the old grounds, but if Everton are to progress, Wolves was really underrated. I've got here, like, underrated stadiums. Wolves, I didn't even put it in a video because the video was quite long. It's got a massive museum. Wolves were, like, massive in, like, the 50s and stuff as well. They were kind of like the Busby Babes before the Busby Babes, if you know what I mean. Minus all the horrific disaster, of course. Probably not a good analogy right there. Arsenal shocked me because I know that they've done some modernisation to the ground, but it was really good. I think it comes under a lot of criticism. I love all the little facts, all the little kind of quirky things around the stadium. And yeah, the fact that, like, 2006, I think it opened the Emirates. Really enjoyed the... There's not a lot I don't like, to be honest with you. If we do go on kind of my least favourite stuff, I put worst tour, ... United, ? It's safe for me to hate on United. The reason I'd say it's the worst tour, not only because I've done probably three dozen of them in my lifetime. I've done way too many, including one this past summer, which I should have filmed. The fact that they don't take you to that many places, and you almost feel a little bit rushed around because there's so many people turning up for tours. I think they go like every 15 minutes. They don't take you to the away changing room. I mean, it's not a bad tour, but for someone that kind of goes to Old Trafford regularly to watch games, it's not kind of breathtaking. But the Manchester United Museum is fantastic. Worst club shop, I would say United, but being honest, Chelsea's wasn't much better. I know Chelsea left a bad taste in my mouth a little bit, but Newcastle's, and I think Newcastle fans would agree, I'd say Newcastle's was the worst club shop we've been to relative to the size of the club, size of the fan base and so on. So if you take like Palace, for example, Crystal Palace, their club shop was tiny, but it was absolutely rammed. The shelves were overflowing with bloody items. They had loads going on there. But yeah, begrudgingly again, overall, probably the best shop was Anfield. Guys, apologies, I'm really missing out your comments. So, do you have a soft spot for Brighton? Well, if you did catch that lengthy intro with regards to Hereford, I definitely didn't have a soft spot for Brighton. I've come round and I've softened over the years, probably because, I don't really class myself as a Hereford fan anymore. But obviously, as a kid, I was very much an Everton. Recently to Everton is Andrew Bick. Hello, Roy. I've heard that Everton's ground will have the steepest stands in world football. Get the climbing gear out. So I think by that you mean that obviously Tottenham have the single tier ends, don't they? Does that mean Everton are kind of doing a similar thing, like a single tier, incredibly steep, vertical? Enlighten us, Andrew. Remind me of your email as well. I can't access my emails at the moment. So Tom Brown has put around the grounds on the spot and has asked, are Wednesday staying up? You know what? Wednesday are looking good. What's around the grounds said? He hasn't said anything. I don't think he wants to tempt fate. But do you know what? I'm feeling it. If you look at Stoke, we mentioned Stoke. Stoke aren't looking good at the moment, aren't they? Obviously, Rotherham are gone. And then it's between like Millwall, Wednesday. Who else have we got down there? Off the top of my head. We've got loads of teams down there. It's going to be a right scrap. That's why we love the Championship. The Championship is where it's at. It's one of my favourite leagues to follow. Love your Fratton Park tour. Cheers, Stacey. Yeah, absolutely love Fratton Park, even though I do have a soft spot for Southampton, but that's probably more Matt Letizia than necessarily Southampton in general. Just love the bloke. I even tried emailing him, actually, see if he would show me around the Dell. I've got ignored. I think he thought I was I was one of those people trying to get the conspiracy theories out of him, talking about COVID and stuff. I couldn't care less, Matt. I just want you to show me around the Dell. I love you, mate. So, Andrew Bick, Villa Park tour looked good. fantastic corporate areas, away teams. So yeah, the reason we've not done a Villa Park tour is because I believe they're very funny with filming. I might just do one anyway with my mum and take the camera, and obviously if we don't film, we don't film. But yeah, I've heard you can't film anything. But that didn't really stop me at United the other day, did it? I was getting followed around that place for hours on end. If you've seen any of those videos, I kind of shrug it off, but they were on my case, and I might have to avoid going to Old Trafford in the next couple of months, because they are. I mean, I got stopped, didn't I, on the game against Fulham because they thought I was looking suspicious and had I might be a terrorist. So definitely need to keep a low profile next time I'm at Old Trafford. Dave Whitney, hi mate, Man United fan, season ticket holder. I now live in Bavaria, Christ, Germany. So you live over Bavaria. That's like that's Munich sort of way, isn't it? You should come over for some. Right, funny you should say that, Dave, because I'm getting really off topic again. We are going to bloody Germany. I've not actually booked the flights, but I've booked the week off work. The end of April, beginning of May, we're going to Germany. I've got a Man United friend over there as well. I don't know exactly where, but I obviously want to go to a few grounds or watch a match or two or whatever. So your suggestions for the Royce Football Paradise on tour in Germany, get your suggestions below. The obvious ones, the Yellow Wall, Borussia Dortmund, obviously Bayern, even though they're not, I mean, they're backfiring, aren't they? They had a win the other day. Leverkusen, if we're to jump on the hype. But as we know, it's the Euros coming up in Germany. So I'm going to be I'm not going to be that patriotic over there. I'm not going to go around with like a skinhead and a St. George's flag all over me. Start again. I love Germany. I've been there before. I've got an A level in German, a GCSE in German. Haven't spoke German since I got that A level and basically forgotten all my German. But I love Germany. So get your suggestions in that comments below. We've got a celebrity in the comments section, guys. Matthew Badham. If you don't know Matthew Badham, he sits on the front row of the upper tier of the Stretford end. And if you hear that noisy racket banging against the side, that'll be Matthew Badham. Lock away your girlfriends, or kind of keep them away from Matty if you take your girlfriend to games. He is an absolute animal. I'm only joking, Matt. I know you're loved up now. But yeah, that's how I normally get those great seats in a Stretford end. I have Matthew's dad's ticket. Thank you, John. Turf Moor for me. I'm biased as a Burnley fan, but I really love that ground and can't wait to go again. Yeah, obviously I've got a soft spot for Burnley. And yeah, all the schedule got kind of messed up this week, guys. I was supposed to have had the tour of this place, even though it's not fully finished, up on the channel today. But when you do videos collaborated with a club, in this case, a company or whatever, you can't just upload them. You have to get stuff signed off, which is fine. Burnley have been fantastic, and love the people at Burnley. Very, very kind, and appreciate the invite and everything. But obviously, I can't just upload stuff, so I had to re-edit a few things, take some, because I've not really got a filter, so stuff kind of happened on that day, which I don't care about. But obviously, it might not be the best of looks for the club. And I couldn't really use much footage I'd filmed during the game as well, because they obviously have an agreement with the Premier League on footage and stuff, which all of us YouTubers completely ignore. But if you're working with Burnley, they don't have the pleasure of ignoring it. Hello. Who else we got in here? Ads Ahmed. Hello, Roy. You remember me? The problem is everyone has YouTube names, don't they? And I don't know anyone's personal. If everyone came up with their actual name. But then, did I meet you outside Highbury? I'm not sure. Apologies. My memory is terrible. I forget who my missus is half the time. She's in there. Right. Are you going to visit stadiums outside England, like the Bernabeu, San Siro? Yes, absolutely. As we mentioned, we're going to start off in Germany, and then we're going to go from there, really. We need to check out the new camp, and obviously the new Bernabeu, of course. So maybe a nice Spanish trip in the summer would be nice, would be very nice indeed. When you're hoping to go full-time doing YouTube? Well, we had this little pep talk with Around the Grounds, actually. I think I need to take the pressure off doing this full-time, I'll be honest with you. Working nights. This is my daily routine, apart from this week, because I'm off. I'll go to sleep about 10 a.m. I wake up maybe 12:15, so I'll have like just over 2 hours. I might get 2.5 hours sleep. And then, yeah, I'll get to the milk rounds, get to the dairy about midnight, 12:30. Then I'll obviously load the float up, deliver all the milk, and I'll normally get home before 7 a.m. Ideally, I'd sleep for a couple of hours and then do YouTube the rest of the day. But obviously, a lot of the time, if I've got tours booked, I'll go straight to the ground. So I'm physically and mentally, to an extent, absolutely bloody knackered. So if I don't catch up on my sleep, I'll get a bit grumpy, and then I'm like, I can't do the night shifts anymore. Just being honest with you guys, that's why I get a bit like, maybe I need to think about doing. Yeah, let's not go on about it too much. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm not going to put too much pressure on doing this full time, because if you do something full time, it's then your job, not your enjoyment, is it? So I'm just doing this for fun, and creating nice content for you guys. Can you go to Cologne and Frankfurt, please? I'm going to those for the Euros this summer. Yes. So I'm hoping to definitely do Cologne, because a friend of mine, David, is from Cologne, a Man United fan, and I'll possibly meet up with David. So Cologne is probably going to be on the schedule, on the itinerary. Hi, as a Newcastle fan here. Great video you done of St James's Park. Well, apologies, I've just slagged Newcastle off quite a bit as I looked at my notes over here. Worst club shop at Newcastle. Most overrated, Newcastle. Not the worst facilities, Newcastle. The reason I've said that is relative to the fact that I thought Newcastle would take my breath away. I thought Newcastle would blow every other stadium out of the water. I love the way it looks on TV. I've always had a soft spot for St James's Park, and it was great, but it basically reminded me of a black and white Old Trafford. And a lot of Newcastle fans will agree. They've had the takeover, but Mike Ashley's hands are still all over that lovely stadium. Parts of it are beautiful. I love the bit there. It's like Old Trafford. They can't, because of the houses along the side, they can't redevelop that one side of St James's Park, even though I think an agreement has been reached. There's so many similarities to Old Trafford, but obviously good times ahead for Newcastle and hopefully Man United with Sir Jim. I've heard I have been reading some stuff on Newcastle and a possible way around developing St James's Park, or even a new stadium. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I do like to know the inside scoop on football stadiums. So what else have we got going on here, guys? You should do some tours of stadiums in Ireland. Definitely. I mean, I might be jumping the gun a little bit because we've got some, obvious ones to do first, but I'm always up for trying out new stadiums in new countries. And I've always wanted to visit Ireland as well, both Northern Ireland and the Republic. Edgar Street video coming at all, mate. So I filmed a video for Hereford, of Hereford. They had no input in it. I watched a game a couple of months ago against Torquay, who are going through a tough time at the moment. And Torquay were awful that day, by the way. And it was going to be part of a mini documentary on Hereford, formerly Hereford United. But obviously when you do smaller clubs, views are a little bit down. So I just sacrificed that video I've done like Forest Green and stuff, so I'm being a bit of a hypocrite. But I wanted to tie in again that Hereford story I had into the Brighton one we're doing. So it would probably come off the back of the Brighton video, or as part of the intro or something, but we will definitely give Hereford some love. Can you please visit Colchester United? I'm sure we'll get over there as well. The only problem is Essex is a bit of a trek where I'm from, but then I've been to Newcastle, so again, I'm a massive hypocrite, Roy. You are such a my throat is drying up. I am going to smash down some red wine, guys, so cheers. I hope you're having a nice evening, and thank you for tuning in to the live stream. This is a bit of a, thrown together kind of live stream. I have no idea what I'm doing. Mark Goldbridge, if you're watching, you've got nothing to worry about. This isn't going to be anywhere near to the standard of That's Football or the United Stand. Oh, that red wine is awful. Oh, bloody hell. Going back to the milkman thing. We do get some good tips on the milk round, and we get loads of bottles of wine. So I'm not a wine drinker, but I've got bottles and bottles of red bloody wine, so I have to use it up. I'm not going to give it away, am I? I'm not made of money. Right, let's just make sure we're not missing out anyone, because there is a lot of comments in here, and guys, I really do appreciate your comments. Right, what have we got here? Northampton Town. I got Northampton Town's old kit from the 90s. Lovely. We love a 90s kit. So let's change it over here. What have we got in here? We've got QPRs on display. Let's change it up a little bit, Roy. Come on. I suppose just for a while, just for a little while, whilst we've had a United video up, I'll put Cantona on there for a bit, and then we'll change it up again in a bit. So, what was we even talking about? We were looking at comments. Hi, Roy. Etihad for me, but I'm biased. Yeah. All right, I'm going to say something right now, controversial, and I do try and avoid controversy on Roy's Football Paradise. I mentioned the other day, I got a bit ratty with someone because I found that I was expecting a lot more negative comments when starting a YouTube channel. Football divides people, it should unite people, which was why I called it Football Paradise, because we like to celebrate the good football offers. But inevitably, you get some moany sods, don't you, commenting on YouTube. But we're blessed with loads of happy, positive comments. But that said, I do find that if we are to get a negative comment, understandably, as a United fan, not from Manchester, they normally come often, not all of you, because some of you are amazing, sometimes from City fans. And I just want to say to City fans is, as a compliment, right? I sometimes feel like City fans are quite defensive because people do give them stick because of their more recent history. But I just think, be happy, be positive, because you're the best team in the world right now. You're the world champions. And don't be defensive. Just celebrate the fact that you're bloody good. It's almost like when United were winning everything, we were called like arrogant and cocky and full of it, which a lot of United fans are. City aren't like that. They are very humble, but maybe a little bit defensive. So I just think City fans just need to enjoy it. Enjoy the ride, because who knows? Something might happen. 115 things might happen. You don't know. Just enjoy the ride, because you could be like us. And now we are back, as Rio Ferdinand would say. Obviously not. Enough of United. I've spoke way too much of United. Right, Pepsi Pack, Gloucester FC tour. That would be good, mate. It's just down the road, about 15-20 minutes away. So that would be my comments aren't loading up. Cheers. Yes, let's get a bit more red wine in us. Come on, guys. Goldbridge chats pure shit. Well, so do I, really. So do I. Don't I? I do chat a lot of rubbish as well. Goldbridge chats pure shit. Is comedy value? Yeah, he is comedy. He is comedy. Probably give Ledbury Swifts a miss though. Yeah, I'm from Ledbury and I played for a team called Ledbury Swifts back in the day. Let's stay focused, guys. Let's stay focused. Hi from Sweden. We've got somebody from Sweden here. Christ. Somebody from Sweden. Hello, by the way, if you're from Sweden. Hello, Sweden. Opinions on Bolton Wanderers, new sub, and loving the videos. So, I'm a bit annoyed. Not annoyed, but last night, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, didn't Bolton play Barnsley last night in Barnsley? Is that right? Have I got the right Tuesday? I was going to go to that game, but my missus went to a Queen tribute act in Bristol. So I was here with the doggies. You might have guessed I've got loads of chow chow dogs. And yeah, I was doggy sitting. We don't have human kids, we've got dog kids. But unfortunately, I was really looking forward to watching Barnsley versus Bolton. Because a lovely subscriber did send out a Bolton shirt. Let's get it on show, shall we? Let's celebrate everything that you've sent in. I am going to be setting up a PO box at some point, guys, so you can send stuff out. I'm not trying to get freebies, but if you want to, there will be a PO box. We did, we had a laugh at kind of Walsall with the Poundland sponsor, didn't we? Even though Poundland are a great sponsor, I'm not knocking them at all. We've got a home bargains kit here, Bolton home bargains kit. So let's put that on there. And as we're trying to get in the Football Paradise spirit, as we're trying to kind of have that paradise type feel, I've got the kind of pebbles around me. Let's get this Villa Hawaiian shirt on, shall we? Here we go. Here we go. That red wine's definitely kicked in, guys. Look what the hell is going on. Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come. Right then. Here we go. This was one of the first... No, this might have been the very first thing we purchased. So obviously we're visiting all 20 Premier League stadiums this season. And we watched Villa play Everton on the game week 2. Oh, I've really messed this up, haven't I? Oh, I don't know what I've done here. I don't know what I've done here, guys. That'll have to stay like that. So, yeah, this was the very first thing, even though you can't see it, that we bought out of the 20 items. So as we look to our notes right now, okay, I've got the least charming looking stadium out of the 18 Premier League stadiums we've visited so far as Palace. But if you are a Palace fan, if you're Jane, the lovely tour guide, don't take offence, because I've got loads of things big in Palace up. As I said, the club shop, for a small club shop, was fantastic. I thought the tour itself was really good. I like the tours that are charming. You know, the smaller groups, the smaller clubs, should I say, because Palace are by no means a small club. Those tours are my favourite, like the Goodison Park tour, the Selhurst Park tour. Those grounds, basically, that Archibald Leach had a big input in designing. They're my favourite. But yeah, the way it looks, let's be honest, Crystal Palace's ground is looking a little bit ropey from the outside. And obviously half of it is basically a bloody Sainsbury's, isn't it? So, yeah, unfortunately not the best looking. But I have been speaking to Jane briefly on Instagram, and we are hoping to get to Palace to experience that amazing atmosphere. Probably best not to do it too close to the Brighton tour, because either way, someone is going to probably take offence to that. Right then, guys, as we check out the comments below, the man cave needs an expansion. Yes, so I am in the corner of the man cave. I don't know what I've done with this shirt, but it's stuck. Let's get the old... Oh, there we go. Whew. So I was in here earlier testing out the live stream stuff, and it was absolutely freezing. So I've put like a bobble hat on and all sorts. But if you look at this Aston Villa Hawaiian shirt, now this isn't exclusive, just exclusive to Villa, because behind me over there we've got the Everton shorts to match. Lots of clubs teamed up with, what's it called? What's that company called? They always advertise. Basically, another company is doing a range of Premier League stuff. Ladies and gents, let's look at the comments. What's going on? Get your comments in below. Are you probably going to Ellen Road? Definitely going to Ellen Road, mate. And I will be wearing my Man United shirt. No, I won't, because I will get beaten up. Fancy selling me a classic Hereford top. I don't have any retro ones. I would, but I don't want to, I'll be honest with you. You might see the Hereford one behind. I don't know if you can see that, guys. I can move this, actually. I can move this. Christ, that's a game changer. So we've got the Hereford United. No, that's not it. That's a Euro 96 t-shirt. Oh yeah, it's over there. It's behind me. So the plan with this live stream, guys, was I was trying to get it to the point where I could use the camera and we could live stream out and about, that I wasn't going to be on my phone. The quality might be a bit better. I am going to be doing live streams eventually when I work out how to properly do it from grounds themselves, so long as they've got the internet. I plan to do this live stream outside Cheltenham Town's ground. It would have been incredibly darker than the current man cave, but obviously it's a different element to the channel. It's a different dynamic. Eventually I want to get to live stream around grounds pre-game whilst we're there doing a matchday vlog, for example. Stuck on a soft spot. Do you have plans for the channel once you've exhausted the 92 league stadiums? Very much enjoying your videos so far. That is a good point. As we mentioned, we're going to be visiting more than just the 92. We're going to be going overseas. We're going to be doing non-league clubs. We're going to be basically dragging this out as much as we can. But we're also going to continue visiting grounds that have been modified, you know, clubs that are moving to new stadiums like Everton, trying out different tours. If we've already been to a tour, go to different matches. I think there's going to be a lot more travelling going on as the channel progresses, but I am trying to diversify a little bit in the content, and I have quite an embarrassing video coming up, which is supposed to come out this week. So I am going to try and change things up as well. It won't just be stadium tours and that will be it. But, you know, I've got very much into the stadium tours, and you guys have as well. So let's just crack on with your comments, guys. Let's just have a quick swig of this red wine as well. I hope, apologies again for the quality of the picture. I do apologise for that. That is purely a lighting thing. Maybe I haven't streamed this in, I thought I'd done it in 1080p, but it doesn't look like it as I look to the live stream in the background. What we do now, I'll tell you what we do now. We'll have a break from talking about Premier League stadiums, even though we've still got lots to talk about, but we keep getting distracted. What I'm going to do now is we're going to have a quick rummage through. This is probably more suited to some of our older members or ones of a similar age to me, maybe in their 30s, people who grew up in the 90s, very much in the commercialised era of the Premier League. Obviously, I've got my retro Marks & Spencer Premier League top on. Let's have a little bit of a look at some nostalgia, shall we? So you've guessed that I love. Can you see those Corinthian figures? Who remembers Big Eds, as they would call them? Now, when I say Big Ed, I'm not referring to Pep Guardiola. I'm referring to these things here. So who do we have here, guys? Don't know if you can see this very well with the lighting on the camera. We've got the Premier League all-time highest goal scorer, Alan Shearer. Next up, we've got arguably one of the best foreign imports, especially in the 90s, Dennis Bergkamp. Absolute legend, and I'm saying this as a non-Arsenal fan. We've got two Beckhams. So this Beckham here was the first Beckham, and then they re-released him because he was looking absolutely nothing like the Beckham they originally released. Two David Beckhams there. I'm not going to bore you, we're just going to do this box because I've literally got loads. Who remembers Brian Roy? Spoke briefly about Forest earlier. That is one ground as well I'm really looking forward to going back to, as we snuck into the City ground last time. All the lights were off and we couldn't really see anything. We saw a bit of the outside of the ground, but it probably wasn't the best video stadium tour. But as I said, we're going to be back for a game. I'm hoping it would be a bit lighter because it is going to be a Tuesday evening game against Fulham. So we'll get to see a game under the lights, but see more of the City ground. Now, unfortunately, I've damaged this box, but this is Le God, Matt Le Tissier, one of, if not my favourite 90s footballers. Such a maverick. We've got Ravanelli. Can't believe he went to Middlesbrough. Nothing against Middlesbrough, but he was, I think the season prior, he won the Champions League, didn't he, with Juve? Chelsea fans, most of you probably wouldn't even know if you're young Chelsea fans. Mark Steinstein. I always think of Rick Stein when I say that. Oh, Teddy Sheringham. And last but not least, Chrissy Waddle, Gazza's mate. So there we go. Some Corinthians. Who remembers Corinthians? If you don't remember Corinthians, you're going to remember stickers. We got some strips here from Panini's Euro 96 stickers over here. If you're a little bit older, you might remember the Pro Set cards. We've got Neville Southall over here. So lots of nostalgia going on at Rise Football Paradise. Right then, guys, let's get back to your comments. Again, if you've got any questions, make sure you get commenting in the comments down below. Where were we? Apologies, you've got to look at my mug right up close because I am reading. So, you're already way better than Goldbridge. I don't know about that. I don't know if Mark Goldbridge would drink a pint of red wine on a live stream in his shed. I think he's a little bit above that. But yeah, I like Goldbridge. You should visit Schalke, fallen European giants. I've always had a thing for Schalke, you know. Always had a slight soft spot. I tell you who I have had a slight soft spot. As I mentioned, I've got an A-level in German, but I can't actually remember any of the German language. But when I last went to Germany, I went to Berlin. And this would have been in the Total 90 era, when everyone had the old logo up in the corner. Do you remember Umbro tried to copy Nike, and they started doing it in a corner? It didn't look anywhere near as good. But if I was to say what my German team would be, it's always been Hertha Berlin. They've had a tough time over the years, but so much so, if you didn't know my surname already, there you go. That's my little Welsh influence from my granddad's side. I think the name now, doesn't it go down there on Bundesliga stuff? I don't know. But yeah, that's Hertha Berlin's top over there. So we will definitely be, we will 100% be in Germany. It's just where do we go? I went to the Olympic Stadium, by the way, when we went to, they had a club shop in a shopping mall, not that wasn't from the stadium. It's from like a Hertha Berlin shop in a shopping mall in Berlin. Do you think Chelsea will build a bigger stadium as well as Man City? Chelsea have restrictions. If you did see the Chelsea video, it's weird. Like the fans owned a pitch or something like that when they had their tough times, I believe, in the 80s. Do you remember Ken Bates picked up? Did he buy Chelsea for like £1? So there's a lot of complications as to why Chelsea haven't moved and maybe haven't done as much work as you'd have thought they would do on Stamford Bridge. Again, I was probably a little bit overcritical of Stamford Bridge because I think Chelsea fans would look at Stamford Bridge the same way as I would look at Old Trafford. I honestly think that if Man United didn't play at Old Trafford, if another club played at Old Trafford, it wouldn't get anywhere near as much stick as it does. It's just the fact that it's Man United's ground. And it's the same with Chelsea. Like as I said in the video, if like Everton played there or another team, I don't think... but the fact that Chelsea has spent so much money on players and in a stadium, it's not bad, but it doesn't really... yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. You should watch Paderborn, about an hour away from Dortmund. I will look them up. I'm going over the same comments here, I think. Love the channel, brings back my childhood. Keep up the good work, mate. Thank you, Dale. Very nice of you to say. The Watcher, you're right. I've been to Ibrox. I think that's what you said. Let's have a look. Probably Wrexham fan here. So if you're a Wrexham fan, I forgot to mention that as well. We are going to be doing a Wrexham Stadium tour in about a month's time. So in terms of what's coming up on the channel, guys, I mentioned the Brighton tour. We've obviously got the match at Kenilworth Road. As I said, we're going to watch Forest Fulham. We're also going to be at Wembley watching the FA Vase Trophy. Always get those two confused. So check that video out. That's going to be something completely different. I'm looking forward to the game, looking forward to the day, should I say. But I'm also very much looking forward to checking out Wembley because it's been a while. Last time I went to the new Wembley was when it first opened. I went to the old Wembley a couple of times and I was really angry and annoyed that the Twin Towers were knocked down. It took me years to get over the fact that they didn't keep the Twin Towers. So I've always had a bit of resentment towards Wembley. I always liked it when England played at Old Trafford. Tyne and Wear derby of stadium tours. Yeah, it would be nice to check out the Stadium of Light, to do a Sunderland tour, see how it compares to the Newcastle tour. Again, comparing tours, not necessarily stadiums. I know Newcastle give Sunderland stick. I watched the highlights of the Sunderland game. They lost to Leicester, didn't they? 1-0. Was it Leicester? And there were a lot of empty seats. But it's the Championship. You know, Sunderland, even though, you know, they got rid of the manager they didn't like, haven't had maybe the best of seasons. They should be solid in those promotion spots. So I'm sure that would be different if Sunderland did get promoted. Hello, do you as a United fan think Lindelof is a good captain for Sweden, or do you think someone else would suit the role better? Oh, it's hard for an Englishman to kind of say as to what Sweden should do, but I mean, it's hard to judge Lindelof full stop because he plays left back most of the time for Man United when he's a centre back. So I really couldn't answer that. I'm sorry, mate. Really not my forte. You need a Jamaican shirt in a paradise. Yeah, that would very much be a paradise, or like a Trinidad and Tobago one with Dwight York on the back or something. Like Balotelli putting on his high-vis vest. Are you... Are you getting a Peterborough shirt soon? Wow, mate, we could do, couldn't we? I've just mentioned the Wembley trip. What's your favourite team and stadium in Spain, Italy, France and Germany? So, having not gone to any of those quite yet, I have been to, as I said, I've been to one German stadium, I think. Well, I've definitely been to one. I think, as in, have I been to any others? I'm not sure if I have. Did we pass? Because I think 1860 Munich... not 1860 Munich, sorry. Union Berlin obviously have their own smaller ground. I'm just trying to think, did we pass Union Berlin's ground? I'm not sure. But in terms of Spain, I've passed like your typical holiday destination type stadiums. But if I'm just looking on telly, objectively, I mean, the Bernabeu sets the standard across the world, doesn't it? I think Italy are lagging behind, but Juventus would probably be the obvious one in Italy. Yeah, France... it's really hard to say, isn't it? Because you've got those quirky old school stadiums that we love visiting in England. I'm sure you'd get those overseas as well. Yeah, have you heard St James's Park might not be Newcastle's home anymore? That's what I'm referring to. The fact that Newcastle have been exploring options and apparently doors are opening. So that will be very interesting. Did you see the Wimbledon versus MK Dons match from Saturday? That's another one. Prior to the possibility of going to Forest, I was looking at the possibility of going to see Wimbledon versus MK Dons. Always had a soft spot for AFC Wimbledon. Genuinely did. Used to play them on FIFA and in Championship Manager over the years. But that was one game I definitely wanted to watch. But then, they ended up doing the Burnley thing. So I try not to do something on a Saturday and Sunday. So really was a bit gutted to miss that because it's such a weird, unique derby. It's hard because obviously MK Dons get so much stick, and for the most part, probably rightfully so. But if they hadn't been moved to Milton Keynes, would they have existed? I think AFC Wimbledon, the Phoenix Club, would have happened regardless whether MK Dons existed. So I think Wimbledon fans are more annoyed at the fact that MK Dons exists rather than, it's a complicated bloody rivalry, isn't it? I'm not siding with MK Dons in the slightest, so I'd definitely side Wimbledon AFC over MK Dons. Which stadium do you wish would never have been gone? For me, it's Highbury. Yes, I mean, Highbury was impressive. I mean, if you've seen the video, there's so many elements to Highbury that are unchanged, look exactly as it did back in the day. I was shocked that I could just walk through those doors, that lobby area of what is now like flats, apartment areas. But the lobby is basically the reception of the old Highbury. You've got the statue still there. You've got the reception desk. You've got that marble floor. And it was literally just a guy mopping, and he didn't really speak any English. And I said, mate, I'm going to take some video. And he's like, yeah. So whether I was supposed to go in, I don't know. But Highbury is by far the nicest old stadium that still exists I mean, like you say, I don't want to go on about Archibald Leach because a lot of Highbury was modified after Archie. But that man Archibald Leach, what a man. What a man. Can I feature in one of your videos soon? It depends. Are you going to be knowledgeable about your club we're visiting? If you are, of course, we welcome anyone on the channel to show us around your... How many soft spots do you have? I'm showing myself to be very, very soft on this channel because I've got a lot of soft spots. I've got a hard spot for Man United. Yes, lad, how are we? I'm all good, Alex. Hope you're well, mate. What shirt would you like to have in your collection that you don't have? There's an obvious answer, and I am going to splash out on it very soon. But, as I said, I reached out to him. No reply, so I held off on it. My holy grail of football shirts is the 93 to 95 Southampton home shirt made by Pony with the V, red and white, obviously, Southampton home shirt with Letizia on the back in, obviously, I think it was black printing, wasn't it? With the Premier League badges on. If you did see the Southampton tour video, for me it was one of my worst videos. I really didn't like that video. On the wall, hanging up, obviously it was one that Letiz gifted. That would be my favourite shirt. I mean, only thing to top that would be like if this Cantona was a match worn one by Cantona or signed by him or whatever. He is knocking around though, isn't he? He's trying to pursue a singing career, old Cantona. He was on Michael McIntyre's big show the other day with, I'll be honest with you, that song, it was so Eric. It made no sense, but I'm a Chelsea fan. Bring Thomas Tuchel back. Come on, Chelsea. It's been all downhill since Tommy Tuchel went, hasn't it? I was kind of hoping he would go to United, Thomas Tuchel. Can you visit Edgar Street, Hereford FC Stadium? So I did mention that I've got a slightly embarrassing video coming up. Don't laugh. I'm going to let you know what it is. I've attempted a song, a rap. Yeah, you heard it right. With this accent, I've attempted a bloody rap. And it's going to be about clubs. I don't want to give away too much, but it will involve going to Edgar Street, maybe Forest Green, maybe even Cheltenham, up the road, maybe even United, who knows. But yeah, I'm going to try a song. Do you know what it was? I was watching on Netflix, they've got a thing on, who are the YouTubers, the group of them, with KSI and all that lot. I was watching them lads and they were releasing songs and I thought, you know what, that looks fun. I don't necessarily try and create videos for the likes and the clicks. I do stuff that I/you want to see, or I force upon you. But stuff that's enjoyable, just don't try and sensationalise too much. We have a bit of a laugh on this channel, don't we? Wish they did that with the old West Ham Stadium. Yeah, it would have been lovely to have kept Upton Park, or some reminiscence of Upton Park, but as we know, parts of Highbury were listed buildings, so they had to keep them. Upton Park, it was a travesty, really. I can understand why West Ham fans are so upset. Not only because the new stadium, even though it's great facility-wise, isn't great maybe to watch football because you're far away from the pitch. Will you do Scottish teams? Definitely. Again, I've always had a soft spot for Scotland, and that's one thing I'm really annoyed about. I had a suitcase, so I've got a lot of my childhood shirts. You might have seen a lot of United shirts from the 90s and stuff. Some of my Villa Muller one and that sort of thing. But my era, my teenage years, all those shirts, I have no idea where they went. We used to go to Scotland quite a bit. We went to like Edinburgh and Inverness and stuff. We went to Inverness's ground. I had Inverness's shirt. Obviously went to Edinburgh and saw Hearts and Hibs. I had the Hearts and Hibs shirts. Where else in Scotland did we go? I swear we saw Aberdeen play. My mum and stepdad love going to Scotland, and I love going to Scotland as well. So I'm very much looking forward to going back up there. But the reason I haven't really rushed to do it, because there are a lot of creators at the moment that are doing content on Scottish clubs. Not that I'm trying to not that I'm fearing invading their turf. Probably not the right analogy to use as an Englishman turning up in Scotland. What I'm trying to say is there's people making content on Scottish clubs, so there's not really a necessity for old Roy to turn up. You guys have been smashing the comments. Dennis Burkham and David Platt signed by Bruce Rioch in 1995. Fantastic signings for one season in charge. That is one thing. Well done, Andrew Bick. I forgot you're an Arsenal fan. A lot of people mistake the Bergkamp signings. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it Patrick Vieira as well? Didn't Vieira come before Wenger? There were a lot of big signings to Arsenal prior to Wenger, I'm pretty sure. Because people often categorise them as like the Wenger era, don't they? Kane's not going to win a league title yet again. Sean Locke, I'm fearful for Kane. I love Kane. Like, buying her out of all cup competitions. Didn't they beat Lazio last night? That is one of my things, actually. Let's get back on track. The Champions League, guys. Has it lost its magic? Easy to say as a United fan. Obviously, not a fan of watching it, because we're either crapping it or we're not even in the bloody competition, full stop. But I've put, has the Champions League got boring? I know Jamie Carragher was talking about this the other week. I'm very much looking forward to the change in format next season, but taking away the away goal definitely took away some of the allure, some of the magic, some of the moments we experienced back in the day in the Champions League. I don't know if you guys feel that as well. I was debating on what time to do these live streams. Someone said that it will clash with the Champions League. We could do a watch along on the odd Wednesday, but for me, the Champions League, especially around this time, until you get to like the semi-finals, is a little bit bloody boring. As I said, I'd rather watch the Championship than the Champions League. In terms of last week's or this week's just gone results, we could go over the results briefly. Arsenal smashed Sheffield United, no shock there, 6-0. Liverpool stole 3 points at Forest. Probably quite a good thing I didn't go there in the end. I'm not hating on Liverpool, by the way. And obviously, I think there was a game with City. I think City played someone. I can't think who. But I do know that all the top 3 won. The Premier League's getting a bit boring, isn't it, guys? It's all about the Championship now. So, ladies and gents, I don't want to drag your evening on too long. How long? You're joking me. How long have we been live? We've been live for an hour. Jesus Christ. Don't I yap? Right, let's go over some of your comments, guys. In terms of, before we do, let's just have a quick look at what we've said with regards to the stadiums. As I said, for me, probably the worst 3 shops, club shops on the stadium tours or grounds we visited. For me, relative to their size and their fan base, Newcastle, Chelsea and Man United are 3 of the worst. Some of the best shops, Liverpool's, Wolves was all right as well. Spurs is the largest club football shop, I believe, in Europe. So it was inevitably good because it was so big. But in terms of per square metre, Palace was amazing. So much crammed in to the Crystal Palace club shop. Bournemouth's just quite good as well, because obviously Bournemouth, people mistake Kenilworth Road currently as being the smallest Premier League ground. It was when Luton were promoted, but after those modifications they did, they've slightly higher capacity at the moment than Bournemouth. But Bournemouth's club shop is fantastic. I'm hoping the Luton club shop will be open when we watch that women's game in a couple of weeks' time, because again, we need to buy something from the club shop, but it'd be interesting to see. They used to do stadium tours, Kenilworth Road, but they're not doing them anymore. I think they've missed a trick, because a lot of people would definitely do them, money for the club and stuff. Again, we've not been to Luton, so we can't comment on their facilities. Everton probably would have been one of the worst. We always mentioned they had like 6 showers in the away changing room. They don't even have hot water. I think they have a kettle, and not a lot in the away changing room. But again, certain clubs hide that factor, like United do. In terms of being like, I mean, looking at this, I've said the best tour. The longest tour was Wolves. The Wolves tour. If you are to do the Wolves Stadium tour, it was over 2.5 hours. It was long. It was a really good tour, but I think maybe a bit too long for being a bit critical. And then you've got the museum as well to do after. So you could be at Molineux for hours and hours on end. Liverpool had a really good balance, better than United. But yeah, I love Jane on that Crystal Palace tour. She was fantastic. Ladies and gents, let's wrap it up now. We're gonna do a Dundee and a Dundee United video, because those are the 2 closest professional football clubs grounds in the UK. Obviously, second being Forest and Notts County. Who will win the... Right, yeah, this is a good way to finish up, guys. Who will win the Premier League this season? So, right now, I've even put it here. Losing my voice. So, a bit more red wine. I'm fearing Liverpool. Liverpool are my pick to win the Premier League. It just feels like when Fergie had his last season at United. It feels inevitable. Feels like destiny that Jurgen Klopp is going to win the Premier League in his last season for Liverpool. I do think City are going to do the unthinkable, and not really the unthinkable, is it? I think they're going to retain the Champions League. So as a United fan, this season it's been absolutely shite, if I'm honest with you, because that's what I predict. When you say what was the best value for money, mate, do you mean tour? Because I think my United tour cost me like 12 quid because I'm a premium member, so it didn't really cost a lot of money. They're all roughly between like 20 and 25 quid. Normally the London tours are more expensive. Chelsea's, I think, was one of the highest possibly. When you do tours with like Pompey and like the non-Premier League clubs, they're normally the best value for money. Like Portsmouth was fantastic. Really enjoyed the Portsmouth tour. It was quite short and sweet, but Fratton Park, I mean, there's not that much to show as much as I love the ground. So for me, Fratton Park might have been the best value. I think it cost, I mean, even QPR cost like 12 quid. I don't know. It wasn't a lot of money at all. Really good value for money. Is Klopp going to win all 4 trophies? No. As I said, City will win the Champions League. United have a chance, like they did last season, to stop City's treble. United have got a chance to stop a possible quadruple by Liverpool in the FA Cup. Yeah, I'm worried about that game as well. Not a lot to look forward to as a United fan, I'm not going to lie to you. You should be in the United Stan YouTube channel in the future. Talk about Man United. I don't think they'd have me. I don't think Goldbridge would have me on. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to be on a Man United fan channel. I'm not too sure. I prefer being somewhat of a neutral, guys. I hope I've not missed anyone's... I mean, there's a lot of comments here. I'm bound to miss stuff out, but I'm trying to cover as much as possible. I think before we go... Oh, hair. Talk hair. Sorry about that, guys. Before we go, let me unplug that. So we're currently live streaming on the camera. Now, if this cuts out, guys, it doesn't matter because we're near the end of the live stream. But I just want to show you a little bit around Football Paradise HQ. It's an absolute mess in here at the moment because I was moving everything around. But as you can see around, I've got a lot of my nostalgia on display. We've got some Euro 96 stuff. Again, more Corinthians. Some of these are personalised. Who remembers the first FIFA International Soccer with David Platt on it? Blackburn Rovers, don't forget the Blackburn Rovers. This is actually like the season after, or 2 seasons after, they won the Premier League title. With all this talk about FFP and stuff, I mean, Jack Walker, who owns Blackburn Rovers, has basically bought the Premier League. I'm not hating on Blackburn just because I've been to Burnley, but who remembers Sabutio's squads, the playing cards? We've got Merlin's Premier League stickers over here. Everyone loves the Merlin's Premier League stickers. We've got all kinds of memorabilia, VHS tapes, items we've picked up whilst doing these stadium tours. Again, if we do cut out, guys, from the live stream, it doesn't matter because we're near the end. So let's just move all this. Look at this absolute mess. I've made a right mess of this. We did visit Bolton as well. I did just show you the shirt, but we've actually got the flag here from when we visited Bolton. I've got my Bristol Rovers scarf over there. Let's just stand up. Ooh, try and sneak through. Are we live still? I'm guessing we're live. Over here, guys, let's just do a bit of a tour, shall we? So, who remembers the Sugar Puffs pop-up things over there? We got those. I tell you what. There we go. That's better, isn't it, guys? That is better. Right, some more Corinthians over here. We got Spurs. Some Man United stuff. Ronaldinho top. Craven Cottage sign. This is that bloody Newcastle. Someone said it's a magpie. It's not. It is actually a duck. Awful club shop. Some Euro 96 nostalgia. David Seaman. This is a box of tissues from France 98. You've got Gaza, the board game over here. This is a good Corinthian, guys. You got Cantona with his collar up. I've even got a Corinthian poster from back in the day as well. Just show you that. More Corinthians over here. Got the Villa Muller shirt over there. We've even got some Happy Meal stuff here from France 98 as well. I've actually got a Mexico 86 bag. Really random. Gaza top. Rude Hullet. More Corinthians. I've literally got boxes and boxes of Corinthians like they'd be in Toys R Us, Woolworths or whatever. I've got some sealed. This one here would have gone to Asda. All the bags from the club shops. Oh. And this is my dodgy setup here with the light and stuff. Proper bodge job tonight on Rice Football Paradise, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. I'm sorry it's not been the most professional, but we're getting there. We're making moves, and we've been on live for over an hour now. So I'd just like to thank you loads for the support, and I'll see you next Wednesday when we've got a bit more of an organised live stream. I may as well have not made these notes because we've barely talked about football stadiums. But again, appreciate you tuning in, and any suggestions you've got, drop us a comment. This will be saved as an actual video after. So yeah, any comments, advice or whatever, I'd appreciate it. Would be good. So I'll see you tomorrow. We've got part 3 of the Old Trafford tour where we look at where a new Old Trafford could be built. So check out that video tomorrow if you haven't. Check out today's videos, the Burnley hospitality from yesterday and stuff. And I'll see you next week in a bloody live stream. Thank you very much. I'm going to work out how we can turn this off. How do I stop the live stream? End stream. See you later, guys. End.